welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we are going to introduce you to a brand new program designed to help those who might be the most vulnerable when they come into contact with police. My guests are Scott Keller and Crystal Bethea. Welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Now you guys teamed up. You are, and I want to say this because I think this is a huge example of one person who's making a change. But Crystal, you came up with this idea. Tell us a little bit about that. And you're not affiliated with the police department. You're a citizen.
In May of 2015, I went to a chief's meeting, correct? Mm-hmm. And so
sort of a round table with the police chief.
Yes, ma'am. And so at that meeting, it was pretty much they were talking about arriving alive. And this was right on the heels of all of the police-involved shootings and,
some of which have been mentally challenged people, disabled people, people with, a neurological, but, people who respond differently
Correct.
to normal contact with someone.
Yes, ma'am. And so as I was sitting there, and the theme of the speakers were just, do what the police say, arrive alive, just comply. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking of my son, who at the time was 7, and although he's young, at some point he's going to get older and he will prayerfully be able to be independent enough to be on his own. And so I'm just started wondering, well, what if he can't comply? He has autism and ADHD and other developmental delays. And so I'm thinking, what if, the police officer approaches him in a manner that's kind of like, scares him or frightens him, and then he can't comply. So what happens at that point? Is it, is the police officer then justified in how they handle him? And in my mind, I said, no, not at all. So what is out here to help the police officers help such vulnerable citizens? And when I talked to the police chief after the meeting, he was kind of thinking about it for a minute, and then he said, I'm going to put you in touch with Lieutenant Scott Keller. And so that's how we partnered up to come and bring this program to bear.
Okay, so what happened next, Scott? You contacted...
Crystal and I met in our office, and we had many meetings since 2015, and I kind of back up just a little bit. She sees her son going out and being able to have a very productive lifestyle, a normal lifestyle, one would say, and you can see him out with his friends. Maybe he goes to a local 7-Eleven, maybe gets accused of shoplifting by the clerk who calls the police but doesn't confront the children. And as they leave, and I assured her, as the police come on scene, we're going to go and try and attempt to stop them and figure out what happened.
Sure, of course you are.
And if her son were to run, I assured her we would catch up to him, and I would hope we'd catch up with him and detain him till we figured out what happened. And Crystal will tell me, it's like, well, he's not going to tell you anything. He's going to continue to run because that's just one of his issues that he would do based on his vulnerable status. Or he's just not going to, he's going to clam up and not going to say anything to you. But as typically you can talk to folks enough to where you can get maybe a name or just a first name, or if we get more information, great. But that's what we thought about with this database. We could go ahead and have a pool of applicants we could start searching through to maybe get mom or his guardian to the scene to help us figure out what happened. And maybe the fact that her son did shoplift, and we need to rectify that, or it could be a big misunderstanding, and we can rectify that as well. So that's kind of the way the concept, that program got started.
So you talked out what those issues were and how many people there might be and how to reach.
Absolutely,
people.
And you can see it on the news. I mean, you've had incidents all over our country, and the folks in different mental capacities in crisis, typically when law enforcement comes in contact with them. And ultimately, some in very tragic situations, and very tragically,
well, there have been relatives who've called police because they can't manage their loved one, and then police get there, and it turns tragic if that person has a weapon or if that person acts aggressively. Yes. And I think families don't always understand that, but they understand that they can't handle it, but they hope that you guys can handle it in a way that de-escalates, and I don't know that that's always possible. Yeah. But if you're armed with more information and more understanding, it certainly is going to
so this
help.
program will definitely give us that information ahead. Like if I'm going to Crystal's house, there'll be a component that pops up on my MDT, my mobile data terminal in my
Will
car.
it really?
The computer that says,
I
hey.
know that we got the little sticker to put in the window.
Yes. They'll tell me that there's somebody at the house is registered in this program, and with a little more digging, I can find out who and what the situation is. So I'd hopefully put the officers into a different mindset maybe, if they're meeting some struggles when they get there into communication or even physically, then to know that there might be something bigger going on there and a different way of approaching it. All of our officers are trained in mental health at various degrees. Every officer over a year's worth of time has spent 40 hours in crisis intervention training, sponsored through our local CSB office. So we're very fortunate here in Hampton. We've taken an aggressive stance with mental health preparedness, make sure our officers handle the situations well, and they do a great job. Hands down to them for doing it. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
So you guys launched, and I want to say it was right in the kind of holiday season, very busy time. And I know we put it out in e-news. My folks helped build the form. Do you think that, you said not a lot of people have registered yet, and I think some of that is, it was a very busy time. We need to get their attention.
Yes.
Who might need to register for this program? I mean, let's just talk about a range of people who would fall in this category.
Yeah, I reached out to Adult Protective Services within the city because they are guardians for a lot of different people at various degrees of mental status. So we reached out to them. We reached out to our public schools. We have put this out through social media sites on the police department. So we would like anybody with Alzheimer's or...
See, I was going to say Alzheimer's is a big one because
huge.
people are very confused.
Absolutely huge.
May not know their name, may not know where they're from, may not recognize, kind of what year it is, what
Yeah, and
current
I've been there
conditions
before
are.
with an Alzheimer, somebody has Alzheimer's at 2 o'clock in the morning who just got up and walked out of their house and their family's asleep. Mm-hmm. No idea where to place them back to. And they go back to a spot in their mind. I mean, just the search, thankfully we had that person, but I mean, if not, man, the search is just endless. And we really dedicate a lot of resources in the city to go and locate a missing child or an adult in that situation. Mm-hmm. We value it that much. So yeah, so Alzheimer's, and I mean, this runs the gamut on mental health.
Autism is a big one because people with autism don't respond to normal social situations in the way other people do.
Correct.
All right, I'm going to throw one out there. My child has Tourette's, and if he comes in contact with a police officer, he is liable to have wild arm motions, to curse you, to say horrible, horrible things. And if you don't know that that's a neurological condition, you think someone is acting much more aggressively than he is. So, I mean, if you stop and think about it, there are so many people, really, that you would want a heads up about if you were about to confront them.
I think it opens up a different file in your mind to how you approach things when you're confronted with that struggle. So sure, when I'm encountering your son and he's yelling and screaming at me and flailing around, it'd be nice to know. And that's why we supplied those stickers. Crystal designed them, or assisted in having someone design those stickers that we send out to everybody that registers for the program to place, and we ask them to place it at their point of entry to their home. So in case I'm just by chance coming by your house, or maybe it didn't click in the computer system where we were able to identify that somebody was registered in that program, we would see this sticker, or the medical personnel coming would see this sticker and say, hey, someone's registered this program, and to take a little bit a different stance, give it a little more time to nurture that situation, not be so quick to rush to judgment, I would hope.
Yeah, because as a parent, it is one of my biggest fears. I mean, he's on a campus, and I feel certain that all campus officers and a whole lot of people know him because he stands out. He's walking through campus, and kids know him. But in another situation, driving, being involved in an accident, even something that wasn't his own fault, stressful situation, things can happen. As a parent, you really worry. Absolutely. But it never occurred to me. It occurred to you, and you did something about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that hard? Was that scary? Like, did you go in and think, I'm going to make a difference, or did it just sort of roll along?
Well, no, I didn't. It was just a thought that came to my mind, and I'm just so grateful that Hampton, the city of Hampton, the police department received it. Not one time did I think that this would be an obstacle to try to make it come about. But when I talked to the police chief and then was speaking with Lieutenant Keller, it was like yes, this is good. We could absolutely use this. We see the value in this, and I'm so grateful that it was that easy. It was easy to present, and for them to say yes, we want to, make this happen. We just had the hard part of getting it all put together and right,
right, the actual
right,
mechanics of it.
Yes, ma'am.
But that's really good because I'm going to go out on a limb and speculate that there are a lot of police departments who wouldn't want to be bothered to do it, wouldn't really want to take that extra time, and maybe who aren't as good about listening to the public and accepting ideas and change as the Hampton Police Division is.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
kudos to them.
And again, I am so grateful I live in the city of Hampton because you are absolutely correct with that statement.
Well, let me ask you a question, Scott. Some people might be really nervous to put their names or their loved one's name on a police database.
Right.
What do you say to them about that concern?
Well, I would really want it to squash that, and it's just merely being used to find that loved one, to help us have that better interaction. Yeah, you are giving some personal data. You're telling us what the condition is of that particular person, your loved one, their medical condition is, medications that they take. But when that crisis happens and you don't know what's going on, you read about it all over our country and reminded constantly of things, instances in law enforcement. You don't even hear about the ones that end positively.
Right,
And this isn't we deal with mental health population every day of folks in crisis, and they end very well, but there are some in our country that haven't. And if that could be a situation here in our city that we could have rectified by knowing some more information on the front end going into that situation, I just don't see how that's not a win-win. We're not using it to snoop or do anything else with you. We're not going to get a letter, or we're not going to
drive past your house and
Yeah, no, we're not focusing on that. This is merely just information that sits idle in a database until somebody searches for your loved one by name or by some association, by some queries that we can do in there if we don't know all the information about your loved one when we encounter them. But surely, with your address and your name associated with it, this information is populated to the officer to have that front-end information going into the scene. And it helps the supervisor know, say, hey, they hear it going in. Maybe I have a brand new officer going to your house. Well, maybe I don't want that officer going there knowing that what they might be confronted with. I can put the brakes on that and send somebody with more experience to the scene. Or I can go myself as a supervisor, and we'll make a team approach to it. So we come up with a peaceful solution in the end. That is the goal.
It is the goal. And the more I think about it, the more I think about other people who might be affected. I had a friend who was a diabetic, and when they get off or start to get in a coma, they become aggressive. Yes. They become, can become very physically aggressive and try to prevent you from doing the life-saving things that they need. And so if you understood where that aggression was coming from, you potentially save their lives.
Right.
There's other kinds of intervention that can happen at a scene like that, because it could happen at an automobile accident, at a shopping center. People's medical conditions can change, or they can have fluctuations. It could be somebody with epilepsy. Just knowing what is going on can get, and some people wear bracelets.
Right.
I know we've looked into a bracelet option as well. But the more those first responders know, the more they're going to be able to be helpful in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so how do we get people registered? If you're out there
Simple.
and either you have a condition or you know of somebody with a condition, here's how you can register for this program.
Yeah, so it's really simple. It's all online through the City of Hampton's website. You go to the Community Relations page. You click on the
Hampton.gov/police, go to Community Relations.
Yes, or Community Engagement Unit, I believe it's titled under.
Okay, that's what it is, yep.
And then look for Safer Hampton Roads, and there's a direct link right in. You can register right online. You can do it from your smartphone, computer at home.
It's a really simple form. I did it, and it was super quick.
Yep, and you automatically get a response back saying your child's been, or your loved one has been registered. I generate then a letter to you from me and Crystal, kind of explain a little bit more about the program. We send you a sticker for your front door or entryway to your home, and in the mail, hopefully within a week. I was a little delayed over the holidays. I got a few out when I got home from the holidays, but so it's just it's a simple process. You put the sticker up, and we ask that you every year that you come back and re-register or renew the information.
That's going to be the tricky one. I will forget that. I won't remember when I registered.
But we have a starting point and nothing else. We know who we can contact to get more information.
That's
right. So it's not a fail there. We don't ask for photos or anything like that. If we needed a photo for some odd reason of your loved one, we know who to contact. We can call you and you can email me a photo right to my phone at the scene, and I think it'd be just as quick. And we did that merely for data purposes of storage and things. So yeah, and it just sits idle in a database. I don't think anybody's going to go looking for it outside of maybe me to see how many people we have registered in the program. Okay. And God willing, we won't ever need the information, but if we do, it'd be there. And I just would really want to encourage folks to try to use the system, try it out, see if you like it. Call me, talk to me, squash your fears, whatever it may be. I'll more than happily talk to anybody or any other law enforcement agencies who are interested in starting a similar program.
It's a great idea. It really is. So.
Yes.
You can also Google it too and find it on Google.
Safer
Okay.
At Safer Hampton Roads.
Or you can go to hampton.gov and just put it in there too.
So it's not that difficult to find.
Okay.
And it's really, like you said, really easy to register. So.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for having the idea, Crystal, and thank you for acting on the idea,
Yes,
because
yes.
hopefully we will save a lot of people and de-escalate some things that could become really, really tragic situations.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
And thank you for watching. I hope you will stretch your brain and think of people you might know who could be on this registry, for whom it could make a very big difference and make all of us have a safer Hampton Roads. Thank you.